This is tutorial 9-1 in GIS tutorial workbook 2. In this exercise, we're going to be performing a cluster and outlier analysis. Now, what this will do is it will help us find hot and cold spots. Now, a hot spot is an area where a feature is surrounded by similar or other features with similar values, and a cold spot is a feature surrounded by other features with dissimilar values. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we are going to use the cluster outlier analysis with rendering tool. And you're going to find that in your ARC toolbox under Spatial Statistical Tools under Rendering. And it's the first one. Now we're going to, actually before we start, I just want to have it noted that if you open up the help window, you'll see that in more recent versions of ArcMap, they're planning on getting rid of this tool in favor of the one that we'll cover after this one. So we're going to use calls for service as the Fab 07. And then we're going to use the FEE as our input field. We're going to save as Moraine I cluster for both of these fields. Then we're going to click OK. Okay. Now, the red spots are the positive z-scores, and these show areas where there are features surrounded by other features with similar values, and the blue ones are feature classes surrounded by features with unsimilar values. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create a new file called cluster types. And this is going to show us the difference between the FEE calls. We're more interested in seeing where the emergency calls are, and then the everyday, like cat stuck in a tree calls. So we're going to copy this file, and we're going to paste it in the data frame. I'm going to name it cluster type. I'm going to go to categories, unique values, and we're going to change it to CO type. And we're going to add all values. You can uncheck this. And we're going to remove the one with no name. Then you're going to left click on symbol and properties for all symbols. You're going to choose circle 1. And for HH, you're going to change the color to fire red. And for LL, you're going to change it to leaf green. And then for HL and LH, you're going to change both of those to solar yellow. Then you're going to left click on symbol again, and we're going to make them size 50. The reason I did that was because it's just a pain to change the colors once they're big. With that done, we can click OK. And actually, we have to go back in and change the display to 40% transparency. Now we can see what's underneath. And then we're going to bring our original layer up on top. Now if you look, you'll see that all the red ones, all the red circles that show z-score are on the red or the green disks. And the green disks show the calls that were low priority. False alarms, 911 hang-ups, where the HH are automobile accidents and situations like that. Now what they want us to do is they want us to turn on the census data to see if there's any correlation between these instances and population density. Now, for me, this is very hard to look at because it's pink on pink. So I'm going to go into census. I'm going to change that to a light blue, to a dark blue. That's a little bit better for me to see. And looking at it, you don't really see any connection between the two. The red is in all different kinds of areas, as is the blue and the green. So there is no real connection between this, which makes sense because most of these are automobile and those are mobile things, so they're not really going to be connected to necessarily areas of high density, maybe high traffic density, which we'll get into later. So we're going to turn off census data, move up here, and we're going to turn off the two layers that we created and condense them. Now we're going to rerun the cluster and outlier analysis tool with a fixed distance band. And this will be the new tool that will most likely be replacing the one we just used. So we're going to shut that down. And up here in mapping clusters, there's this cluster and outlier analysis tool. And we're going to choose service, calls for service. FEE will be our field. And we're going to just call this cluster 900. And we're going to use fixed distance band because the points don't really influence each other. So we have a distance band of 900, hence the name. Now the book wants you to go in and import the symbology from the earlier one that we made. I've had many problems doing that, so I'm just going to do it manually. So you want to go to quantities, graduate to color. You want to use the z-scores. And if you were to open up the original one we made and go into classify, you see the breaks that they used were -2, -1, 1, 2, and the highest number. They just put 9,999, but we can just leave it the highest number and it'll be the same. So -2, -1, 1, 2, and then leave that one alone. If you want to go in and make yours look like the other one, feel free. I'm just going to leave it like this so I save time. Then I'm going to go to color, the color ramp, and I'm going to change to a color that was similar to the one they used, which was a red to blue. But we're going to switch it because the red was for the positive and blue was for the negative numbers. And we're going to make this 10 for all colors. Okay, now we're going to go into this one real quick, and I'm going to use the same color scheme. That way when we compare, it makes a little bit more sense. Now right now we're looking at the 900 clusters. If I turn them off, it changes. And if you notice right here is where the biggest change seems to be that I pick up. I'm turning it back on. Much more red here, a little bit more here. Turn it off, some disappeared there. So it seems like we're getting better with the 900, and that's probably why that tool is being removed. But like before, we don't know which one of these is a high priority call and which one is a low priority call. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this layer. We're going to paste it. We're going to call it cluster type 900. And we're going to do what we did for the last one. Now don't get these confused with buffers. They're not. They're just something to help you identify. Now we can see that a lot of the high priority calls are coming pretty close to this highway, showing that this could be a reason for a lot of the calls that this is an unsafe intersection. Right up here, there's another busy road. Right here, there's another busy road. And these make sense. The more traffic on a road increases the chances of accidents. And that's it for this tutorial.